Hello there, everybody. This is Andre of GVGINU. Thank you very much for watching and lending me ear and listening to this game idea that I've had this idea for quite a while. I just hadn't decided to do it until now. Let me slide that back. It's a little uneven. But Resident Evil Revamped Collection. I kind of had this idea back when the Resident Evil remake was announced for Xbox One, PS4, and PC, and skipped the Wii U, even though kind of doesn't make much sense that it skipped the Wii U, but whatever. Yeah, I had the idea a while ago, and when I said revamp collection, I mean revamping each game to fit the Wii U's, each one of the first 3 games and Code Veronica in order to utilize the Wii U gamepad. Actually, you could do the same thing with Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 too, but my focus was really the first 3. Resident Evil 1, well, Resident Evil Remake and Resident Evil Remake 2, as I'm just going to call it, very simple. But both of those games, you want to add the, one, you add the quick turn from Resident Evil 3. 2, I would split the gamepad screen in half. Use half of the screen for the map, so that way as you unlock new areas, it shows them on the map screen. And I'd also put the inventory on the opposite side. It doesn't matter which way you flip it. Inventory could be left and map right, or map left and inventory right. It doesn't really matter. But I put the inventory screen there so that you can see your health and how your health is faring, as well as be able to quickly deal with items in your inventory, like reloading a gun, so that you don't have to wait for the character animation to happen. You can quickly do it in the inventory on the gamepad screen, and there you go. Not really anything you gotta worry about. Being able to check out files and stuff is another thing that you can do in inventory. So all you'd have to really do is just like cut out the portion of the inventory that said map, because your map would be there at all times. It would be a real-time map. But yeah, that's really it. Also for Resident Evil 2, and this would be specifically Resident Evil 2. Actually, in Resident Evil 0 could be done like this too, but Resident Evil 0's playstyle is a little different, where you have to swap back and forth between the 2 characters in order to be able to solve the puzzles. But Resident Evil 2, I'd really take the, I guess the best version of Resident Evil 2 was the, there really isn't a best version of Resident Evil 2. What I would do with Resident Evil 2 is take all of the things that are among the different parts of the Resident Evil games, like, you know, the DualShock version and the PC version and the N64 version, which were the 3 separate major versions of that game. Because I know there was a non-DualShock PlayStation version, but it's not too different from the DualShock version. At least it's not as far as I remember. But I'd take the EX files from Resident Evil 2 on the N64 and put them in the game, as well as like I think it was like 1 or 2 scenes that differed in the N64 game because of the fact that it just didn't have enough storage capacity for the AMVs. I think I said that wrong. FMVs, I think. Yeah, FMVs. Is it? Either way, the videos didn't have enough room for them on there. So there was one scene, I think it was in particular in Leon's game, you could play with Claire for like a short portion of his game because of him getting injured or something. And plot-wise, he got injured and she had to go get something and like help him recover. I'd add that in there. I don't know how they would, though. That's the bad thing. I'd have to replay the games in order to understand that. I'd also add in like I think it was a battle mode that that the DualShock version had, which I think ended up getting ported over to the GameCube version of the game. And I thought that was odd that they ported the PlayStation version of Resident Evil 2 to the GameCube instead of doing the N64 version and just adding in the stuff that was missing. I don't know, maybe that was just, I don't know. And then there was there was like a gallery mode that was in the PC version, which ended up getting ported to Dreamcast. I'd mash all that shit together and actually make it a complete game. Like, because the different versions have things that are kind of, well, especially the N64 version, it has the files, the EX files that are important to tying it to Resident Evil 0. And I'm like, something's amiss here, Capcom. We've got something wrong. We gotta fix this. We gotta actually make this a full, complete game. Like, take all that stuff and just smash it together and make the whole game. It's not like the story differs any. It's not like the locations differ any. You're still doing the same game, same thing. Why not combine all of it? Make the whole game instead of having a fractured game. That's my only complaint with Resident Evil 2. Really. Resident Evil 3, though. See, Resident Evil 3, I would add files to that game to kind of connect it to the events of... I'd add files to it that kind of connect it to, like, Code Veronica and Resident Evil 0. Just, like, stuff that... like, just information you could find in the game that connect that to those two games. Because, honestly, they're all interconnected anyway. And it should be Code Veronica X, not Code Veronica, because that's the complete version of that game. But Resident Evil 3, now I would leave the game as it is, like with the exception of adding those files, and then I would do another thing, which is add in a story element for Barry Burton. It wouldn't have to be a very long thing. It could be something that you could like complete in like 2 hours time. But I always wondered, like, what was he doing? Like after Resident Evil 1, we don't see him. We don't see him for quite a while. I mean, I think there was something about him recently. I just don't remember exactly what it was. But I'm like, add this dude in. There's information, like there's a story right there that you guys could make. Like, so I'd add in like a Barry Burton mode in addition to the Mercenaries mode and the I give Jill all of the costumes from the PC and Dreamcast versions of Resident Evil 3, but I would make it so that you have to find the key to get into the salon, and you can't just pick from the beginning. You have to have her standard outfit from the beginning, but you can get into the not salon, the boutique, and be able to change clothes there. I didn't like that they took that option out of the... I think it was just... Did the PC version have that? I think it was the PC version and the Dreamcast version. You could just select her costume from the jump. I was like, why'd y'all take the fun out of finding the key? Like, I don't know, I guess me personally, I like to be able to find stuff like that. I don't like it just handed to me, because it just takes fun out of it. But, that's really it for those three. Resident Evil 0, literally just give it the same treatment as Resident Evil Remake. Just add the gamepad functionality and play with the game with the controller. This is really it. Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. Now this is where things might get a little different because of the playstyles of the games being vastly different. But with Resident Evil 4 and, well, all of them, you could literally just bump your inventory down and everything happens in real time, but there's no cheat to skip the reload animation because it has to happen at that point. So really isn't really complicated either. Again, split the screen in half of it inventory, half of it map, and yeah, that's really about it. So I guess it's really not as hard as I'm thinking. I mean, obviously there's going to be some work put into it, and they'd have to figure out what they can do to utilize this functionality without fucking up the games. But that's really it. Code Veronica X. Now, I personally haven't played that version of the game. I wish I did. I've completed Code Veronica on the Dreamcast. I beasted that game. But Code Veronica X, I haven't played that version. So I've been trying to find that one on GameCube so I can actually, play it. But I guess Capcom might do a remake of that too, if they haven't already made plans somewhere. Yeah, I think really that's it. Like Code Veronica X is just the same thing I talked about with the first 3 Resident Evil games. Split the gamepad screen in half, map and inventory. And inventory utilizes everything but being able to swap the map on and off. And really, you've pretty much got it. So I think I'm done. It kind of sucks. I thought I was going to be able to talk more about this. That's really it. But I do have another idea for the other Resident Evil games I'll talk about at another time. It doesn't have to be Wii U specific, but yeah. Thank you very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more of my stuff, and until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out.